I now thought we'd talk a little bit about points, lines, and circles. And we're going to get into a whole circle of issues, pardon the pun, regarding sort of thinking about things visually. And this really is a really important idea because often in life, whether it's quantitative, like mathematics or not, sometimes, I mean, a picture is really worth 1,000 words, and you can really capture the essence of what's going on if you really have a picture in your mind or a picture actually to look at. So this is sort of starting a whole realm of thinking about things visually. Okay, so first of all, points, lines, and circles. These things are all happening on the plane, which means just all on a piece of paper that is marked with axes. And the horizontal axis is known as the x-axis, and the vertical is known as the y. And then we plot a point, for example, by going over first in the x direction, either positive or negatively, and then up positively or negatively to go down in the y direction. And I could put a point, and I would denote this as x comma y, which means I've gone over x units in the x direction, like maybe this is some number, and then I go up some number in the y direction. So for example, maybe this is like 5, comma 2. So I'd write this as 5, comma 2. So that's the way we sort of plot the point right there. Okay. Now, of course, a line is just whatever you can make with a straight edge. You take a straight edge, you plop it down, and then you can just put a line anywhere you want. So you're really nice and straight. So there's a line. That's pretty straightforward. But the question is, okay, you can visualize that, but how do you describe that? I mean, how can I actually rigorously tell you this exact line that I'm thinking about, and that, in fact, it's not this line, right? Notice that these two lines are very similar, and yet they're not the same. They're off by a little bit. So how can I distinguish those two kind of lines? And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about are the notion of what, a circle. So we all know what a circle is. It's the most symmetric kind of object that we can imagine. Beautifully round. Look at it. In fact, that's not a bad circle. It has some center, and then basically I look at all the points that are sort of a fixed distance away from that center. And the question is, how can I describe to you that kind of thing? So first I want to talk about sort of points and lines, and for example, look at distances. For example, if I have a point here, and I have a point here, and I look at the shortest distance, which is going to be a straight line, like this, you see. Well, how could I find the distance between these 2 points? Well, how would I measure it? Well, if I had a ruler, you could just sort of do this and say, oh, it looks like it's, 5.5. But the question is, how can I do that exactly, and how can I do that when I don't have a ruler? So that's the first thing we'll take a look at, and then we'll start to build up these other ideas of lines and circles. We'll take a look at them now.